Okay, I guess we're live. Hi everyone, and I guess we're gonna try something new today. We're gonna call it Silerious Bar Brawl for now, but maybe the name will change a little bit later. Today we have Caustic Dreamer. If you'd like to say hello.
Hey,
Yep. He's going to be catfighting with Ezekiel.
meow.
Ezekiel, would you like to say hello?
Yes, hello. And for those
Yep.
who are confused because they see Deranged Feline on my name, that's because I decided to use my deadass gaming channel that I gave up on some time ago.
He's a liar. He's a cat rapist. Don't believe him.
Fucking furries.
And my
Except-
bestie Trigger here is always trying to bust my balls on something or another.
Mm-hmm. So we're gonna try our hand at blood sports. With us, we also have the judges. I'm not going to be a judge. I'm just going to be a live streaming participant or something. I'm gonna
medium.
mostly stay out of it. Outside of, I don't even know how much I'm gonna mediate this. Bar brawls aren't normally mediated. The rules are these two get to go at it for as long as they need to rectify their problems, or someone
Gonna
quits.
wreck his rectum.
Right. They all okay. The rules are simple.
shitting
They
on
get to choose a judge. But each person gets to choose a judge that they want on their side. You guys want to name the people you named?
I named Varen, our very friendly luck dragon.
Hello.
Would you like to say
Our
hello?
guy.
Hello.
Hello.
How's everybody
And
doing?
Ezekiel picked.
Yeah, I picked Shashwire Cat, or I guess Catherine in this case.
You would pick a
Hello.
fucking cat.
Hey,
Yes,
she's the
he's
most
made it very
neutral
clear he
person
likes
I could
cats.
think of. I didn't want to choose Trigger because I already know that Trigger just likes to particularly choose me. I mean, seriously, Loki, did you want a blood sport between me and Caustic or me and Trigger? You already know he's on me.
Okay. Well, first thing, you're
Like
roboting.
humans against Cylons.
But I chose Trigger to be the center person because I will not be at all fair in the situation, and I know Trigger hates everyone, and it's easy to pick somebody who hates everyone, so you'll have a harder time, like picking a
I have no bias for anyone.
And I guess with that we can let them start. Should we flip a coin, or is someone willing to concede their turn?
I'll
vote
concede
Caustic
my
is-
turn. Oh,
Alright.
okay.
I'm just wanting us to get to what exactly we're trying to debate here.
Well, you guys have been arguing a lot about your ideologies, and kind of feel like you guys have been fighting over that one special girl. I want you guys to get it out. Get it out there right now.
Okay, so I
And
guess
go.
Okay, I guess I'll kick things off with something that you pushed out there before. You were trying to say that I don't understand libertarian values because I draw the line a bit closer to the middle,
Very
or
high. We have actually, Loki, can you show screenshots of our political compass results to show more of? Because I feel that kind of helps tell the story in of itself.
No, you guys are better off showing your own results.
Am I?
I don't even know how to do that. But okay,
Well, not showing. Well, yeah, you can screen share them, but it'd be better if you explain it out because it tells
okay.
you what your results are, right? That would be
So
better for you to explain what your results mean for your political leanings.
Okay. For me, it says that I'm authoritarian right, but only slightly above the line. Excuse me. And I think the thing that pushed me beyond the middle line was that I have some anti-homosexual views, and I put very strongly that I agree with homosexuality not being okay. And I'm going to assume that in the context of this test that they ascribe sexual liberty as being a libertarian value.
Well, first of all, disdain for homosexuality is usually considered a conservative position. If anything, that should have pushed you more towards the right, not towards the pro-status. Because whether or not
I
you're pro
mean,
or for something doesn't say, are you for state involvement or are you?
left and right are economic positions. Authoritarian and libertarian are about liberties. But maybe
Ezekiel
I
is
just
right. That's why people have their complaints about the compass, right?
okay.
So you saying that you don't like homosexuals moves you right and up, not one
Okay.
or the other.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
Plus the way that they
basically
phrase the questions, like I guess
yeah.
you should go into taking the test as looking at it as a what kind of laws would you enact based on the questions that they're asking, like codifying that in law is pretty much the best way to get a true result.
I mean, I was just trying to take the test in earnest, but whatever.
Right.
Yeah, I see your point.
Mhm.
Well, that's how
So
they
yeah,
take it. When you're like, I don't agree with homosexual marriage, they take that to mean that you want to outlaw gay people.
Right.
well, I mean, I understand that there's no reasonable nor practical way of making homosexuality illegal because it's happening within their own homes and that would require like thought policing and a bunch of other shit. But on the same note, obviously homosexuality has impacted society in escalating ways that I don't agree with. So it's
Right.
And as you can see with my results, I do lean probably quite a bit more right than the last time Trigger seen my results, and still at about the same level of libertarian,
yeah.
which is about 3 paces downward. Right,
Okay.
screen sharing.
Yeah, and I don't like
Okay.
the libertarian necessarily at the bottom,
Mm-hmm.
right? Should be like anarchy.
Anarchism.
right?
Well, that's not too different because if you go straight down to the bottom, you're
okay.
an ANCAP.
Well, the reason, is you have libertarian, and then you have like conservatarian. So if like you're far right, but you're down there in the anarchist area, you're gonna be at like a conservatarian. Like the patriarchy at home, not in the government type mentality, right?
Okay.
Whereas the libertarian is more of the, ANCAP or what is it, that other thing that people say where basically like it's mob mentality. I can't remember what they call it.
You mean ANCOM? I mean, that's kind of what they go for like collective mobs. They think they can make a utopian society with tribalists. Fucking
Well, yeah, like the libertarians are like, well, if you prescribe to the non-aggression principle, then we don't need governments or police or anything, and it's like that's really
Mm-hmm.
left-leaning liberal view of things. So there's like libertarian and conservatarian.
Yeah.
I don't. I no longer consider, or why I don't really consider myself part of the libertarian political party / movement in the United States. I do lean more downward and do tend to agree with some of the core principles of the Libertarian Party, but not enough to actually subscribe to or support the political party.
Right.
I'm not for open borders. It's just
that's just dumb. Yeah.
Yeah, as I say, like the libertarian tends to be more on the, um, pretty much we don't need laws because if everyone just subscribes to the non-aggression principle, we don't need borders or any, and all that stuff. And there's obviously if you're right-leaning, you kind of can't be too libertarian. You know what I mean? So the whole libertarian on the bottom as being the entire bottom of that scale doesn't seem to really mesh well with being right-leaning in general.
So, traits between Caustic and Zeke.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I was explaining the problem with the political compass, not debating.
Well,
Yeah.
It's
I
a
was
fair
just
point. Because there are problems with it. I just still think it's a fairly decent angle to take a look at. And 2, I find that it's a bit more accurate than the 8 values tests.
Well, I was just trying to provide a counter argument for you trying to say that I don't understand libertarian values because I'm not down that far on the
Oh, I'm
shit.
not simply saying that you don't understand them. I'm
But
saying
you did in the
don't
chat.
really fall in line with them, and the fact that you keep suggesting that you want to implement them demonstrates that when you when you argue for different issues that actually go against libertarian concepts and ideals, it comes off as though you're not actually that libertarian to be arguing we should have more libertarian principles.
Okay, so I don't think you understand that libertarian values and principles do not exist in a vacuum, and they exist in contrast to other ideological principles. It can't be just that, or else you'd end up being an ANCAP. Obviously, there's a line you draw. Oh, and he's gone. I'm gonna wait for him to come back.
Yeah, he's roboting. I mentioned it. I thought I want to call breaks for him to be for people to be able to reset when this happens. But I guess he'll be there. There he is.
Oh, he's back.
Okay.
Roboting apparently.
Okay, he's fixed, but now Cat's roboting. So I'm gonna mute myself again and keep going.
Okay. So Zeke, as I was saying, these libertarian principles do not exist in a vacuum. They exist in contrast to other ideological principles and values, and that leads to you drawing a line. Okay, so I mean, I wasn't finished making the point, so you don't have to cut me off, but
I kind of do when you're already trying to argue that I'm trying to take a position that they're in a vacuum. No, if that was the case, I would say, oh, he disagrees
hold
with
on.
a single.
Well, let him
libertarian
finish what he's
principle.
saying and then address it.
All right.
because I'm scrolling back through the chat, and you're saying I'm having a hard time believing you actually hold any libertarian beliefs, when obviously I do. That's not even in question. I mean, I guess you would see it's in question, but I'm seeing that as ridiculous.
I see it in question. You literally tried to argue with people why marijuana should not be legal, trying to claim that you hold libertarian principles.
Well, that's because there are other principles going into this. It's not an explicitly okay. So like everything that you make legal has consequences.
Mm-hmm.
So when you make marijuana illegal,
because when you make it illegal, people can't seek out help from addictions related to that so easily.
Okay, but if you legalize it, it becomes normalized, and then people will just fucking rationalize any side effects of it as something that's acceptable within the boundaries of society.
Depends on the state.
I mean, let me put it this way. People are still really okay with alcohol, despite the amount of deaths it causes, because it's legal.
And same with smoking. You have an issue with Trigger buying a pack of cigarettes? I don't.
I do think that overall it negatively influences the nation in terms of like health, and we're not looking for the interests of the people if we're letting what's essentially advertising propaganda hook you in on drugs. I'm saying that's not a good outcome to just let it happen because free market. There's a line you have to draw, and that is at protecting the people.
So your line is state involvement to protect the people.
Certainly, sure.
Makes it understandable why you'd end up leaning a little more upwards.
I mean, the same principle is why you would agree with having a military. Otherwise, you just have people make their own militias. Obviously, they don't need state involvement. Let the free market take care of their protection. I can't tell what you're saying, man.
Oh. I think that's actually part of the American Constitution, that's a right to form your own militia. And I
mean,
it's true.
You can form your own militia, sure, but it's not going to stop you from getting glassed by a foreign organized military. It's not practical in today's society. You have to advance with the times. Not to sound progressive, but in the sense of militaristic. In terms of acknowledging foreign threats, you kind of have to meet their standard, which is why we have the military budget we do.
Mm-hmm. Do you think there's an issue with the fact that in the United States we have a right to form our own militia? if so desired?
No, I think that in and of itself is not wrong.
Okay. I'm just
Right.
kind of picking your brain here, because like I said, if
I'm
you
just
hold
saying-
more libertarian ideals, then I clearly don't know where those are.
I'm just saying that a state militia isn't going to be able to have an organized air force. And what are you going to do when you get fucking firebombed because your state-funded militia doesn't have any kind of air superiority? It's about practicality here. That's why you have to take these things out of the pure conceptual context and put them into a practical, real-world context. Otherwise, you're just like the feminists. Your idealized reality overtaking the precedence
And like
of
that,
actual
you managed
objective
to miss
reality.
the fucking point.
Well, what is your point?
The point is what the subject of the debate has been.
Okay, then
What-
bring us back. But feel free
Whether
to
or
ask a
not you
question.
whether or not you understand where that, or where exactly that drawing line would be between authoritarian or libertarianism, not
I
which
mean-
libertarian or authoritarian ideals would be most beneficial or preferable.
I mean, I straight up have answered that question. I said I draw the line at the protection of the people and of consumers, I would suppose. Now, my question to you is, where do you draw your line? Where do you think authoritarian and libertarian values draw the line at? Because I need some insight into whatever the fuck you think. It's not very clear.
I draw the line quite simply in terms of who all I would consider being libertarian and who all I would consider being more authoritarian.
That doesn't sound like an
Being
answer to the
what's
question at all.
I'm getting to it.
Okay.
For example, for a libertarian, do you trust the state to have your best interests in mind? No. You probably lean more libertarian, and if you apply that principle to most facets of government power. Do you
I mean, without
feel that you
corruption,
need the
the
government
government wouldn't
involvement,
be against you.
or do
Sorry,
you
sorry.
feel that you need the government involvement in your daily life more so than you are concerned with it? If so, then you probably lean more on the authoritarian side. I don't think it really needs to be that much more complicated than that, when you're simply trying to draft up who all falls into what general lot.
Okay, so what you've done is instead of answering the question, you've just
I
framed
have
the
answered
question.
the question.
You just framed the question without giving your personal position. You said this is what it means to be more authoritarian, and this is what it means to be more libertarian. Now I'm asking you, where do you personally draw the line? I believe the terms
As
here
to
are
whether or not I'm a libertarian?
Yeah, sure.
Do you understand what that question implies in of itself? That
I mean, I
question
could
does
just be
not
like,
imply what
do you
my...
understand what I mean by my question? As
I do, but your question
Make
doesn't make any
statements.
sense with what the subject we're debating. Because we're literally debating what the line is and who you would determine as a libertarian or authoritarian. And you're
no,
asking,
I'm asking.
what's my
this is-
personal values? as to
No.
where I
That's
would
not
consider
what the
being
debate was on.
libertarian is
Just
acceptable.
moments ago, you said the debate was about me, which means now the debate is about you. This isn't about. This is about us as individuals discussing where we are.
It's a debate about
We understand the
where exactly
objective
you think
abstractions of libertarianism and authoritarianism. I'm gonna assume that we're not retarded here. Feel free to prove me wrong, though. I guess I don't know.
The question was referring to whether or not you actually understood what qualifies as libertarian or libertarian
Of course.
ideals. And from what I'm getting, where you drew the line was essentially where your values are. My values are libertarian, so therefore that's where they're at. That is legitimately what you gave me. So literally
Okay,
anyone more
Ezekiel.
authoritarian than you. Yes.
Why don't you define what libertarian values are from your perspective? That'll move us along.
All right. Quite simply, limited state involvement, limited protection from the government when it comes to any downfalls on your end, lack of intervention if, say, a business or an individual fails in society from the state powers. And the further down you go straight to anarchism. Where I would find the final line is maybe there's some government needed in certain aspects of life. Where exactly those would be, it would be a hard line to really draw. It really would.
Then have you really invested any time into the concept if you haven't drawn a line?
Oh, there is a line.
'Cause, I mean, I know this whole time I've been answering what my personal stance is in the fucking
Okay, you want me to
measurement
just
of
personal stance? Okay.
yes, that's what I've been asking for.
I am more so for issues being resolved in a free market economy. I am more invested in what state involvement there is in terms of protection of individual rights, such as individuals' rights to the personal agency being protected, where they're incapable of protecting it themselves, while also allowing for individuals within within the country or whatever to also have the ability to stand up against an oppressive government if ever it turns tyrannical.
Okay. Now, where do you contrast with me? Because I don't understand your opposition to my position.
For
I
example,
suppose.
marijuana. I am perfectly okay with all drugs being legal. If someone fucks up their own life with drugs, it's not the state's responsibility to get involved in that. That person can simply fail within society and not be worried about past that point.
Before I retort to that, you're roboting. I would suggest resetting.
One moment.
When he comes back, throw a chair at him.
I don't think that's possible through a call, but okay. So the first thing I have to point out is that there's more than just an economy when you're talking about things like drugs. All right, this product is not safe for the consumer, and the normalization of it, if not the active condoning of it, shows that you're acting in the intentional disservice of your population.
But am I really?
I don't know how you can ethically go into that.
How I can ethically argue that people should be free to do to themselves what they will and not have
I can't hear what you're saying, man.
So what you're arguing is the fact that I am establishing that if someone goes to fuck up their own life, we should not have the state be responsible or involved in their life to try to turn them around.
That's not what I'm arguing.
Go that direction, because then that's not a concern for society. Because that is exactly
what I'm arguing.
Stated.
What I'm arguing is that when you make drugs legal, you actively condone their consumption. You're saying that this is an acceptable behavior, and then people are like, okay, that's awesome. And then the consequences of that lead to not only generations of people's lives being taken down into lower class communities because addictions ruin you economically, but you also you put into motion the course of events that essentially establish horrible what's the word I'm looking for? You tear apart families, which deconstructs familial values in favor of addiction, and you ruin people economically. That's basically what I'm saying here. And you can't pretend that you wouldn't be responsible for that with the active condoning of drugs.
Responsible for their own actions. I'm sorry. Are they children now? Are they babies? What's going on?
I can clarify what he's saying. He's talking about the knock-on effect. right? Not that individual using drugs, but their effect on the society around them is what he's referring to.
Okay, that can easily be argued against in the fact that if people get a hold of drugs and it's made illegal, in order for them to reach out for help, they would first have to admit that they're committing a crime.
You think it might not just be because they really like being high?
Oh, I don't doubt they
Like,
probably do just
Jesus
like
Christ.
being high. But if they're
So-
trying to turn their life around, which is
Addiction-
the premise I gave,
Addiction fucks with people and alters their values.
no, it alters their minds. Now,
I don't know
values,
if you
sure,
think that
as a
values are a
proxy.
byproduct of something other than the mind, but sure, whatever. I've seen addiction
They
turn
are,
people into completely
but
different
not
people.
everything in the mind is nothing but values. There are other
It
things that go
is
on
chemicals,
than
and
just-
chemicals are altered by psychedelic fucking influences and abundances of THC, or downright poisons, like alcohol in this case,
and
or cigarettes.
so you're just completely anti-drug. Is that what I'm getting?
Why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I be?
Then you're more of a status, my bro. Unless you have more of a communal solution to that.
Well, not you. I'm saying that the war on drugs, if it wasn't done like disingenuously, would have been a noble effort. But it was bullshit, so we got what we got.
Look,
You
if it
can't-
means anything, I'm willing to reach out the olive branch and saying they should at least be decriminalized. So that if
No, it's-
ever someone is at a point in their life where they need to go out for help and are willing to and able to, because you're assuming that once anybody's touched any sort of the substance, oh, that little dust of crack, oh dear God, just got to snort the whole thing up, just got to go. No, dude.
No, I'm
like,
saying
people can
that
come back from
legalizing
that
it-
shit. People have.
Legalizing it sets it into motion to where more people are going to have much more access to drugs than if it's illegal. And you might say that, oh no, it wouldn't be, but I mean, who would tell? I guess that's kind of an unprovable statement or unfalsifiable statement, but
Okay. And,
widespread
but again,
commercialization of it encourages use,
okay,
especially
what-
since there would be
what
advertisement in
widespread
favor of it, which is
commercialization
social
there
fucking
for-
engineering.
I don't know. What widespread commercialization is there for, say, alcohol or marijuana or tobacco?
I don't support either of those.
Okay, but what commercialization is currently going on for those that are very out there? Because
For alcohol?
if you noticed,
Have you
for
ever seen a
alcohol, they're
Budweiser
not
commercial?
Even allowed to drink during their own commercial. They're not allowed to actually drink the alcohol in their own commercials.
And I think that is an improvement. I don't want alcohol fucking promotion on television. Do you think it's a positive influence on teenagers when they when they hear about how cool it is to get drunk, so they fucking steal alcohol? No.
See, this is just going to be an area of disagreement for us upon principle. Principally, I don't think it is the government's responsibility to baby their citizens.
Okay. So
I
there's a
really
difference
don't.
between babying the citizens and just saying, just setting the standard. It's like
Okay,
it's almost like we're in a social contract or something.
it's not baby.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, Trigger. I'm gonna take
You
away
can say, if you want to be a part of this society,
Apparently that's
You're
not
you're
baby.
roboting. All I heard you say was trigger, and then after that, I couldn't hear
Okay.
anything.
Hold on. Why am I roboting so bad?
I mean, I would just like to point out, oh, God damn it.
He appears to be
Resetting.
getting oppressed by the internet gods.
Should
Yep.
probably just nickname this as "Listen to Ezekiel Robot All Day" stream. Anyways,
Too lengthy.
Yeah,
Doesn't really
it's still kind of there a little bit.
God damn it!
get fucked.
Check a task manager.
Do you have all your tabs closed?
No.
That's your fault.
Did you try turning it off and turning it on again?
Okay. Close Discord first of all. Discord always drains a lot of other bullshit, and close a lot of other garbage as well. That would probably be draining a lot of your data.
Okay.
Is that a lot better?
I closed Discord. Let's see how that. Hopefully, even my quality is going up.
Ezekiel, speak again.
Is that better?
Yes, it's
Okay.
better.
Yeah,
It's not.
slightly.
Yeah, actually,
But
pretty a lot
anyways,
better.
they go up to Trigger and go like, Trigger, I'm taking away your tobacco. Because you need taken care of. Is Trigger
No,
gonna
it's not.
feel babied by that? Because I think he
That's
really.
not.
I think
it's-
he's gonna
it's
go
setting-
like, "Fuck you, man. Why do you have the right to take away my tobacco?"
That's not actually the question that he asked, though.
All right. Well, what was the question?
His original question was, do you not feel that you have some type of moral obligation if you legalize and normalize the drugs to the effects that it has, like, on the community and family? So not
Yeah.
necessarily that drug user themselves, but like, say, their kids or, you know, the neighborhood that they live in, because obviously we know people who do drugs do commit crimes, right, at a higher rate than average. That
Not
was what his
denying
original
it.
question was. Is if you have any moral, if you feel any sense of moral responsibility
Of
when
course
you
not. They
legalize
did
all
it
the
to
drugs.
themselves.
Well, no,
Why
for the
would-
victims, not for the drug user. You keep focusing on the drug user, but he's asking about the effect that drug user is going to have on everything else. Was his question?
Well, of course not.
You don't?
No.
Okay.
Well, I would assert that you're a borderline sociopath. But hey, way to actually have balls, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a stance I wouldn't take. So kudos to you.
How can I be more sociopathic than the sociopath?
I don't
That's
know.
a good question.
Anyways, ad hominems aside, my follow up to that would be to your statement that I'm babying people. I would say it's more of a asserting in the social contract a standard which has to be upheld for you to be able to be considered viable for being good enough for participating in this state, per se. But that's actually just a matter of theoretical legislation and doesn't actually hold any ground. I don't know. I guess that's just my retort to that claim that I'm babying people.
Yeah, I would call it babying if you intend to protect them from their own consequences, including ones that would higher their risks of partaking in crime. If someone's
So what
gonna-
you're saying is telling someone that it makes you a shitty person if you do something, that's babying them. Excellent. No moral precedent in your society. Excellent.
I would hardly call that having no moral precedent.
Precedent.
I would say having people have a
I mean,
sense
you already
of
said you
personal
don't care about the
responsibility.
consequences of your actions.
That's not even close. Because it's hardly my actions, is it?
I mean, you
Unless you think what others do is up to you.
well, when you set the standards for what is acceptable without the threat, the passive threat of violence, which is the cops, you are telling people what it is okay and okay to do. Are you saying that it's babying people to have anti-murder laws?
No,
Because it's essentially
murder
that's
is
what
a
the
crime.
standard you've
That's
set.
the thing. No, that is
That's the
not the
standard you've set.
standard I set, and I would really greatly appreciate if you did not conflate murder with drug use, because they are not two in the same.
Okay. So, what about if it's a hitman? Shouldn't you be able to pay somebody to perform a service? And
To
I
perform
mean, you
the
already
service
don't
to
care.
perform a crime. No. That's,
Okay, well, what if doing drugs is a crime, or owning drugs is a crime?
Yeah, if it's a crime, it would be considered a crime to pay for someone to get a hold of drugs. However, I already established that I am perfectly accepting of people having access to drugs.
But then, what happens when drug-ridden families go into excessive, domestic violence, like which is recordable with
Then they would
alcohol?
go through the system. They would be considered criminals
So you're okay.
of the crimes they actually commit.
You would be the one who set that into motion.
Not really.
Sure, it is. You basically
again-
gave everyone the go-ahead to use this product, and then say, "Well,
No, I made
I
it
don't really care what happens."
accessible. It's a very different thing than making something accessible and going ahead and going up to someone and going like, "Hey man, you want these drugs? Yeah, just do whatever with them." Very different thing. I'm not talking about hand someone free drugs or some shit like that. I'm talking about going ahead and letting someone go like, "Okay, you want to have the go ahead and sell this. Maybe have some regulations behind it to make sure that you're not having angel dust snuck into marijuana or something of that nature."
So you're saying legalize it but regulate it?
I'm okay with regulation. I don't
Okay.
necessarily require it, but
I was just
if people are more
clarifying.
comfortable, yeah. No, my positions is sometimes there's some areas where I'm like, I'm willing to give some wiggle room for that because if people feel more comfortable having something regulated, like, drugs, I would say, yeah, go ahead and allow them to have that regulated.
I don't know, I guess we're just gonna have to agree to disagree. I don't see any positive influence that drugs have on society.
Sure. Okay.
Uh,
So we're comparing libertarianism. Ezekiel,
Uh-huh.
public education. We're talking like primary
Mhm.
school, and also then if you could address college and the federal aid for students.
I mean, I think it's kind of self-explanatory. No
That doesn't say
funding
anything.
state. Yeah, no
Okay,
funding
okay.
through the state.
So no
Why
public
am I going to
education.
want? Well, of course.
So
How are
primary
you
school is
supposed
gone.
to? Yeah, public
Well, it's
education
all state funded,
doesn't
right?
really
I
compete.
said start with
Right.
primary school. You said no state money. So how are children educated?
Through private education or homeschooling. Why is that necessarily a bad thing? If you just have public schools that don't really compete with other schools to better the form of education they can provide, you're not really improving education, are you?
Caustic.
I have to think about this because I haven't really put much thought into public education as necessarily a good or bad thing. Give me a moment.
I guess while I'm at it,
I'll throw something out there for you to argue with off of what you said, Ezekiel, while he's thinking.
mhm.
Without state funding of the education, what about the poor, impoverished people, like the single mothers who have to work two jobs, right, to afford the things for their kids? Without the public education, they obviously can't homeschool their kids. So is it okay for their kids to just go uneducated?
I mean, that would seem to
Why would I
perpetuate the class disparity.
why would I fund single motherhood? You're
Funding
literally
education for the children, right? Obviously, the children didn't make
okay.
that decision, right? That's what
Right.
I'm thinking more of the people who are affected by other people's decisions and whether or not you feel that we as a society have any obligation to those people.
If that's
Basically,
something
the
you
victims
prefer,
who didn't do it.
I would say leave it to the states.
So at a state level,
Yeah, state
Not a
level
federal level?
versus federal level. Yep.
Well,
So
currently
you
it
just-
is at a state level, just
And
for.
it's where it needs to be.
Well, that raises a question though. Where would you personally have it? Like, would you prefer them not to have public funding for public schools? I mean, not to have federal funding for public schools? Or I guess state funding, whatever.
Sorry, what?
Are you saying that, like your relative indifference sounds like that you wouldn't necessarily want those kids to receive education that's within their means?
It's not really within their means, is it?
Well, obviously, I'm talking about putting it within their means. I mean that what you've just described is how you get an entire population of people who are uneducated, and you just fucking devolve into
No.
extreme
Funding
poverty
single-
versus extreme.
Incentivizing single parenthood through doing that does that.
I feel like it's not necessarily the school systems that are encouraging single motherhood, but I mean, you could try and argue that. I guess that doesn't seem like a very easily defendable position, though. How are you going to back up the claim that public schooling is the reason why we have single mothers?
Oh, that wasn't my claim. My claim was funding or incentivization of single motherhood or single parenthood is how you end up with single parents.
Right,
Because
but
one-
his question was about the education system, which is
yeah,
not.
and I just already
either-
explained that.
It's
Well, I'm
aimed
saying
at
the
children.
Yeah, so his question about the education system is because of what you just said. Obviously, the school is not promoting or supporting single motherhood, right? Because they do
Mhm.
kids that have two parents and single parents or, no parents. So that is not something that's actually a part of the education system. So he's asking
Right.
how you've made that conclusion that you just made.
Also, fuck the orphans, right?
Well, obviously.
Jesus. Obviously, I have nothing to contribute to
Try to
society.
remember the Ebenezer Scrooge quote. Is there no workhouses? Is there no orphanages?
But I'm curious about how you made the assumption of public school supporting single motherhood.
I think I may have just misunderstood the question being asked. I wasn't.
Oh, well, it's the statement you made when I said that, like there are single mothers who work two jobs. They clearly can't homeschool or afford private school,
Mhm.
right? So obviously their children would be that one, and obviously orphans would be the most adversely affected by the loss of public school versus, middle class and up two-parent households.
Yeah,
And
I feel like single motherhood's more of a result of like hookup culture and bad relationships than people being like, it's a sustainable economic model to be a single mother. I'm gonna try and be that. Like,
Well, imagine that you were paid to be absolutely degenerate on a regular basis. Isn't that something you would partake?
clarify?
Okay. Well, degenerate's probably not the right term for it, but imagine
he's
you
probably
were...
more curious about the paid for it part.
Right. Okay. Well, for example, through the state, if it was said, okay, you're in this state of being where the government tries to act as, like in case of like single motherhood, a replacement husband through the state. Or the state acting as a replacement husband or wallet. Personal funding.
Okay, but how does a school act as that?
Well, the school doesn't. Like I said,
you
I
said
think
it
I may have just
incentivized it.
misunderstood. Yeah, and as I've established, I think I may have misunderstood the question being asked when it was asked. I think that's
Well, then
perfectly...
Then you
You
haven't
backtracked.
addressed the point raised at all.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
what I'm trying to get back to.
Well, now that we've backtracked,
So
let's
how
go
do
to
you try to address a non-point. But as I was saying, that would be more up to the state. I don't think you could really come up with a one-for-all solution for all states within the United States. I think that would more so depend on each culture.
I mean, they all kind of agree that it should be paid for at a state level. Unless if you have any reason to oppose that position. I'm just curious why you would word it in such a way.
Word what in such a way?
But the ambiguity makes it seem like you are actively against public schools. But hey, let's I guess I don't know. This just seems like not a point being made. I guess I don't know. I don't know where we're going with this. Somebody direct us.
What? Yeah, was that because a lot of libertarians are against the public school system in general. They think it should be handled by the community, which back in the old day, people did put emphasis on education and build their own schoolhouses and work together as a community. Right, that was a thing that existed before the state took it over, and then the federal government created the Department of Education to help regulate. Right, that's what I was trying to get at.
Okay. I mean,
clearly, guys don't disagree too much on that. So,
I don't like how schools are structured now, but that's like a different topic entirely. That's just a matter of like how they teach kids. But
I think Varen's wanting us to discuss postmodernism.
Ooh. Well, I'm gonna need something more specific than just postmodernism. Oh, what I value in life itself?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I value people's like the most. I don't know. This is. I need more context, I suppose, because if you're asking me for meaning of life, then that's a different question than what I value in life, I guess. Varen?
To answer Varen's question from my end, I would say personal liberties and the ability to actually pave your own life path. To actually be able to establish what goal you want to aim for and to accomplish that goal, and so forth. To be able to have the freedom to be unrestricted from doing so.
Okay.
Does that include wearing other people's skin?
Hey man, I need my lamps, okay?
With exceptions.
What about bestiality?
Also a valid question.
Animals can't even validly consent. It's like, just no. Fuck no.
So then there would be laws against bestiality?
Yes. There would
That's
be.
interesting coming from a furry.
Wow.
Very different. Very different. People are into people who are into bestiality are not necessarily furries. Neither are furries
necessarily.
Yes,
they're not.
I'm not gonna
they're not
deny
mutually
there's probably
exclusive.
I'm not gonna deny there's probably some overlap. To what degree? I'm not very sure. I've not looked into that statistic. If you got the numbers
Fucking
for that,
degenerates.
I'd be glad to see it.
Both of those things should be illegal in the ethno state. But
yeah, once you go ahead and actually make one.
Watch me. I'll use my
preemptive
self-defense anthrax letters.
Oh, you're just flat out going for the Unabomber reference there.
Anyway,
it was just him by himself.
Anyways, I suppose to answer the question, the meaning of life for me has always been development and like I guess almost evolution. As like I'm kind of a transhuman type person, where like I want technology to keep developing, not to be confused with the transgender bullshit. But there's the active pursuit of technological and intellectual development as a culture, and well, without the sacrifice of culture necessarily, because I do believe that without culture, your society will degrade. But
I mean, you're always
I
going
believe,
to have a culture by default.
I mean, not if you're a nihilist or You're an anarchist
So-
earlier.
So what I really wanted to get to was the fact that you have a massive emphasis on procreation, right? And Ezekiel doesn't. And it was an interesting thing when Ezekiel said that essentially that didn't sound like it was much life. And I wanted to see if you guys would talk about this aspect, you know, that Ezekiel doesn't think that procreation is the end or be all to life, essentially. And that there's more to it than that. And just go
It's
through
more
all
of an
that.
entirely different subject altogether, but
No, but
Well,
we
to
should
get
talk
into
about
that,
this.
we could.
Yeah, talk
Okay,
about it.
okay.
I want to hear it.
Yes, tell us everything.
Speak to your people, robot man. Fucking furry. Come on.
Oh, you meant me.
Yeah, yeah.
Alright. I thought that he was going to start with you. Personally, I think people are perfectly capable of coming up with other values than just simply procreation. Not everyone necessarily needs to try to build a family or desire a family life to feel fulfilled. There's perfectly other alternatives. Some people simply want to reshape or reform the societies they're in to better fit a overall image for others rather than simply focus on reproduction, if that makes sense. Or maybe
Okay.
we think
Brothers for who? Caustic, be my man. Alright, so so when you're talking about I'm not sure what Varen wanted me to go with in that direction, but I guess I should start by answering the question from my perspective. Procreation is the vehicle by which you preserve humanity. I mean, without procreation, you die, like you're done. Your entire society collapses in a single generation. It's literally a fundamental requirement for existence. And to pretend that procreation isn't a valuable fucking aspect of society is to be disingenuous if
because you seem to
for
assume
even
that
the individual. For even the individual. All right? So if you aren't pursuing like relationships with people around you, not necessarily just romantic, but platonic relationships within like your communities and whatnot. If you're not pursuing relationships with the opposite sex, you are actively what's the word?
you can still
You're
pursue those without those being your end all goal or your purpose in life.
I mean, if you
I mean,
don't pursue them as
by actively engaging with their personal goals. I don't know why you're making this assumption that if you have any sort of, you know, sense of meaning in life that's not procreation, that suddenly means that person just doesn't try to procreate or doesn't try to become part of like some sort of dating market. I'm not sure where you get
well, I
that
mean,
from.
well, let's talk about MGTOW.
Okay, we can talk about MGTOW.
Well, they're an example of what I'm talking about. Like, they have completely abstained from the dating atmosphere or for the attempt to follow the the course of procreation, and they seem like very competent contributors to society. What do you think that they accomplish with that? Do you think that without your values and your principles being passed on by and accepted by the selector, which is women in this case, that anybody even fucking values your opinion? Your political movements are validated by women in the sense that without their support, they die. Like, What? I don't understand how you can pretend that isn't an active fucking function.
Okay, first of all, MGTOW, yeah, their whole big deal, or whole shtick, is they're abstaining from the dating market. They don't want part of it. They don't want to contribute what they feel is a large ongoing game of society in which targets or explicitly solicits towards the primary female market.
Well, you know what that is?
So it's
That's being a weak cuck.
it probably is, but not without too many reasons. A lot of them have felt very burnt. I'm not exactly interested in attacking MGTOW because what changes are they really enacting? As you said for yourself, they're
I mean,
abstaining.
I think they're setting a
not
cultural trend.
reproducing. Are they? MGTOW,
Yeah.
really?
What do you
just
think?
said they couldn't.
Somebody let you on?
Low-key
Good,
bitch.
because they weren't reproducing.
Okay, so social fucking interaction is just as important as fucking generational selection. You otherwise everything would just be genetics, and there wouldn't be such a thing as social engineering. It's actually it's the my dude, Silerious. I can't grab a chair. This is a call.
Figure it out.
All right. So, as Zeke,
Yep. Listening.
like,
I'm pretty sure you're roboting and cutting out.
oh shit.
That's what it is.
Let me maybe just reset.
Okay,
You guys are
while
at
he's
each other's
away, get a chair. When
throats
he comes back,
in
hit him in the
Discord.
face.
Yeah,
Got
you
my
guys are at
chair
each
right.
other's throats
Oh,
in
you just came
Discord.
back.
Okay.
Bam! The chair goes down.
Rage.
Okay.
Oh, such a sad, tragic ending.
Okay, so the question I have for you is,
Mm-hmm.
who is procreating if you're over here deciding that you're going to be so existential that procreating isn't worth the effort? I'll tell you who will be procreating in spite of you. Degenerates. Degenerates from other demographics.
I mean, people call me a degenerate
Single mothers.
anyways, so
Single mothers. Yeah. Now, what happens when you don't contribute to a population and then your population becomes extremely outnumbered and then thematically replaced?
And
You don't
yeah,
have any
I-
opposition to that? You don't think that
I
it's
don't
literally
think
the cucking of a
have
nation?
really as big as a grapple as you think they do. I honestly don't. They're a very fringe movement to begin with. It's like asking
I'm not
me
talking
if I
about MGTOW
am
in general
concerned
anymore.
about
I'm
the
talking about
KKK.
I'm not, it's not just MGTOW now, it's people in general. What do you think is happening in this society where people don't value procreation? They're dying
You mean
off as
don't
an aged
value?
population.
Whoever
There's a
said anything
reason
about
why certain demographics have gone from 91% to 60% in 40 years. That isn't even a lifespan. Or not 40 years, I guess it's now like almost 60 years. That isn't even the lifespan of a single fucking person. Why do you think? Why do you think that is? What do you think is going to happen when the baby boomers die off? And that number shrinks down to like 40% or even less. What happens when people who don't support your morals and ethics and principles start being authoritarian over you because you don't value procreation? Because now they have power within the democratic system.
I'm sorry, you were roboting like through most of that.
Shit, really? All right,
Yeah,
let me
there
reset.
was like maybe bits and pieces I can try to take away from, but okay.
What do you think of his argument so far? Him saying that not valuing procreation is going to end a society.
Okay, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
So, what?
going back to the argument you were making, or at least what I could make up, I don't ever remember claiming that people shouldn't, or that a society as a whole shouldn't value it. Just that that's not like an end all be all for all people. Like, if
I
you're
mean,
going
it
to
kind of is,
define
because
a
if you
meaning
don't,
of
you get
life,
replaced. It's not the meaning of life, it's just a prerequisite to life. It is a prerequisite, and to pretend it's not a vital function and a necessary function for it to exist is downright dishonest and self-flagellating, even, I would say. Do you what do you do when your population dies out, an aged population, because it's just, not convenient or not in their interests
they
to
lost the
procreate?
Darwinian awards. I'm not going to be held responsible for people not being able to take care of themselves.
Okay. Come on now. Did you guys give up?
I
think they both lose. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. At this point,
Is-
you're not
is-
even nearly with as much heat as you were on Discord. That was the whole point of the stream.
I'm
No,
now
no,
pro
Yeah.
communism.
Come
Good
on
job,
now.
guys.
Is that it? Is that the end of the show, guys? Are the judges going to vote now on who had the strongest argument versus who had the
Yeah.
weakest argument?
We're about to, because they didn't get to the actual arguments they were having previously. I'm about to put my foot down.
That's because
All right.
Well, you guys, I asked
Alright,
you
fine.
what we were discussing.
It's
and
it's
nobody said
perfectly
anything.
fine. I understand. Earlier this week, these guys were going after the same girl, fighting each other on procreation, on non-procreation, on relationships, on non-relationships, calling each other cucks and fucking cat fuckers. And today, all we got was a limp-wristed slap fight.
It was
So,
good.
in
Well, we got
conclusion,
to an ideological combat instead of an actual. You guys didn't actually ask for what you wanted. What do you
sure we
want?
did.
But why
You
should
guys,
we
you
have
guys
to if you
had
guys were fighting it out? You had points in Discord. Why should we tell you what to fight about?
This was what
I mean,
we were talking
we
about. We were talking
took
about
care
today.
of most of it in Discord already.
And how are
That's, like,
both
part
of you
the issue.
roboting the entire time?
And
How
I
is this
have
a
no tabs
robot
open.
limp-wristed slap fight?
Should've done the Discord.
I should have,
Yeah.
and next time we'll do it in the Discord.
So,
So
keep up with
would the
YouTube.
judges like to vote? Who
Yes.
wins? Okay, so I guess we'll start off from whatever I see first. Cat, pick your winner.
Neither.
Neither.
They both sucked.
All right.
Damn.
I guess next one in line is Varen. Pick your winner.
I'm gonna go for Caustic, of course.
You dark.
All right, and
Fucking
last
roll.
but not least,
You chose me.
trigger warning. Who do you think won this debate?
They were both so bad that I'm now pro communism simply so that I can kill them. Hopefully through
All right,
starvation.
so
Organized famine.
at a vote for 2-1, nobody wins this fight. This is a net negative for the entire human race. We're really sorry we subjected anybody to this.
Silerious, take this down from the
Should've
channel.
seriously
There is
like when they were
there is something I want to know.
before we already had it cleared up.
There is something I want to know. If you got a bunch of individuals in society living for themselves, and they don't want to procreate, and you mentioned that that they would be essentially just living life for themselves, and they wouldn't really care about society. What is the point of having
I'm
them
sorry,
in society?
Is some individuals all individuals, Baron?
So it's like
Why
it
do
sounds
you have
like,
to tippy toe around everyone? Just say
sounds
it.
like
Just say
Somalia
it all.
minus the baby making. That's all I'm saying.
Mhm.
If everybody is an individual in society, it sounds like Somalia minus the baby making, because they actually do a lot of fucking over there.
Hence
All
the
I'm
AIDS.
saying is, if you ask
But
me
what-
for my personal values in life,
What is the purpose for those individuals in the society?
their own. And
What,
if
what does it do? Do they just die? Is it to just die? Is that all they're doing? Are they just living to die?
No.
What are they doing? What are they
Yes.
creating for the society if they're not adding to it?
Yeah, what is your purpose of being if you're not contributing anything to
What-
mankind?
The
Like,
fuck are
where's
you
your-
doing?
Yeah, where's your sense of self-worth?
Reform. I mean, seriously.
What gives you your sense of self-worth?
What gives me my sense of self-worth?
I mean, nothing, because he has no sense of self-worth.
Where is that cattiness about 45 minutes ago?
Well, now it has context.
Now it has context?
Yeah, sure.
Ezekiel, do you want to address the point?
What point?
I guess
I
there's
don't
no
know.
self-worth.
There's nothing. There's nothing. Just kill your. Everybody kill themselves. It's okay.
Whoever said that? Come on.
I
Dan.
I
think
just
that's
said
rather
that.
unfair.
I don't. I mean, I just gave you a whole point, and you turn around and tell me that you don't know. So I mean, I think that
I'm
we
just
should just
telling
move.
you, if you ask me about value of life, it is going to vary between person to person. It's not
You
all
personally,
I'm asking
individually.
what you personally.
me personally.
Yes.
Yeah.
Descriptive versus prescriptive, guys. The vegans taught me something.
Fucking crickets. I'm hearing pin drops.
Exactly.
I'm definitely going to delete this is a horrible failed experiment that should never be attempted again. And until next
We-
week, where
we tried.
I have
Look, man, you
by
had
far,
us wait for days for this.
and yet you guys managed to suck
Subject-
each other's dicks live in front of a studio audience.
Exactly.
I would not call any of that.
You
dick
didn't
sucking.
run it. You lost the debate.
I mean,
So now I think it's the time-
out of direction. Fight me.
All right, let's see if we'll put it to a vote. Now is the time for the judges to attack these two. I think that's right.
Yes.
Take me
I
on
will-
Twitter. I'm
I
ready
will
for
fight
ya.
all of you.
Okay. Meet you on the map, bro. Let's go.
Caustic.
Right
Caustic, my dude. You should have gone more hardball. Should have like
I
when,
didn't know
when
what to
he's
say. What do you
when
want
he's saying individuals just living for themselves and not really doing anything for society.
If
Where
they
does that-
want to have
where does
children,
that-
it's
where-
them still living for themselves? Where's the
Yeah,
Those are
but
worthless individuals
it-
that
what is-
are not allowed in my ethno state.
What is the
Well, I
point of them
mean-
even being there? You know.
I mean, I wasn't trying to. See, I don't know. I don't know what I was supposed to be arguing here. Was my point. Was it a personal attack? Was it a what is libertarianism? Is it a valid position to have? There was no
That's
direction.
exactly
I
why
mean,
I
context.
argued that we should have anchored down on that debate topic, and we didn't. And
I
people
tried
said,
to.
"No,
There was a lot
no."
of dead air. You guys weren't talking.
Yeah.
That's where we started.
Yeah.
I mean, if this went initially as a dick picking contest, I would have been a huge asshole the whole time.
From what I heard and from what I understood, neither one of you are true libertarians.
Well, I'm a
I'm a
nationalist.
true
So.
libertarian.
You see, there
No,
you
you're
go.
a
He
libertarian.
kept calling you a fucking Nazi and nothing today. Today he's calling you a libertarian. What is happening here?
No. Caustic's a Nazi. There's no.
Oh,
That's
thanks.
definitely
Now that the
true.
stream is over,
Oh,
you can fucking call him a Nazi. Before you,
It's still
what is
going.
it? 1 hour ago.
It's still going.
1 hour
on my
ago, you're like,
channel.
so what kind of libertarian are you, good sir?
No, I asked him where exactly we're defining libertarianism.
What
And
does
what
it
exactly
matter? You kept
qualifies-
calling him a Nazi who only gives a shit about reproduction and spreading his genes. And you call him a degenerate for only wanting to just fucking everything that moves that's white and blonde haired, so he can procreate his thing. He said there's no reason to live like that. There's no point, no meaning to life at all.
Agreed.
See, issue
Where
there
was
is
that? Where was
fucking-
that fire? I can kill
was
both
that?
of you in like minutes.
That was taken care of like days ago, man.
So he's no longer.
How
a
was it
Nazi?
taken
Is that what
care
you're
of?
saying?
I mean, I was in that lib the whole time, but I mean, when I first got to the server, definitely an Astosh, but conversion therapy, I guess. I don't know.
Change his mind.
Can we pray the gay away?
Yes, of course we can.
Yeah, Ezekiel,
we
as
can't
somebody who likes to dress up as an animal, you don't
And
think
cross-dress,
maybe he
apparently.
wants to maybe hook some electrodes up to your anus and get that out of your system?
Oh,
I would
now you want to bring
definitely
up the cross-dressing? Now you want to bring up the cross-dressing?
I
Now
kept
the
getting told to shut up. I was trying to find things, and people were like, "Hey, stop talking."
I would definitely Jungian therapy the shit out of you.
See, this is why you don't tell Trigger to stop talking. Come on, guys.
They just wanted a calm discussion.
I was trying to be Jerry Springer about it.
See, I worked way
So
better.
she called you a punta. How does that make you feel?
What the?
like
It
a
means
punta
a bitch.
punta.
It means she's calling you a weak cuck, but you are.
Low T,
Yeah.
bitch.
Here,
Basically.
do something with the knife.
Get a woman, you fucking cuck.
See, all this fire, man. It was
Right.
all-
So, because one of the things, so like a libertarian society, right? So if you watch anybody who speaks publicly with a libertarian perspective, they're fine with the homosexuals and the furries and all those things, so long as whatever behavior they're partaking in is between two consenting adults and done in private.
Yep.
So, Caustic, do you agree or disagree with that?
I think that kind of shit is why we have the transgender bullshit right now. And
Well, that's done in
I
public,
don't-
clearly.
well, do you think anybody who does that type of stuff isn't going to do it in private?
In public.
No, I'm
They've
saying
been
they're
doing
doing it
homosexuality
in
and
public,
bullshit for centuries.
right?
They've
Yeah,
been doing it
it's
in private for centuries.
exactly. It's been around, but it's the publicizing of it, making it a public spectacle that is, causing it to grow the way that we are seeing it now, right?
Well,
So, but the
I mean, my
libertarian
personal-
view is that they're free to do whatever they want to do as consenting adults, but society or social norms shouldn't be allowing it in public, right? Not on a legal sense, but a moral public shaming sense.
My position is like, in a practical sense, it's really impossible to make it illegal to be homosexual within the confines of your own home.
It's
In a sense,
illegal in
you
Russia.
You wouldn't be able to prove it.
Illegal in
What are you
public.
talking-
in
They throw
Russia.
people in jail all the time.
Well, then you got witch hunts. And, well, I don't want someone calling me gay and throwing me in jail. The same way that feminists can just say that somebody raped them and throw them in prison, even if it's a false claim. So, in that sense, there's no way to really attack that degeneracy in a fair legal sense.
If a dude is walking down the street in assless chaps and dancing to Queen or It's Raining Men, I'm pretty sure
I'm gassing his ass.
he's gay, right? I've never seen a
Yeah,
straight guy do that. That's all I'm saying. I haven't seen hetero.
He's an evolutionary dead end. Yeah,
Exactly.
certainly.
And if
I'm
he
just
does
speeding up the
that,
process.
he has
No, I'm
to-
saying so. Obviously, things like that, right? Like clearly that two dudes making out at the Starbucks, they're gay. Should that be illegal?
Yeah, sure.
No,
Okay, there you go, Ezekiel.
very clear disagreement.
Oh look, we
What's wrong
finally
with
got
you?
some.
Fucking hell.
So go, keep going. What do you stop for?
Well,
Right,
when you
as-
legalize it, for the same
Really
shit
all
as I
that's
said
needed.
earlier, you're encouraging
wrong
people to
with them?
perform the behavior.
Okay, Ezekiel.
And what
As someone
happens
who likes to fuck people dressed as cats? Would you care
fucking
to respond?
furry? If you normalize faggots, there's going to be a lot more fucking faggots. You
And
know
I
what
think
that does
furry-
to for a population?
Are furries in the
Doesn't increase
faggot
it.
camp?
Yeah, who
I mean, I would consider them
Yeah,
on the same
'cause
level.
I just assumed you meant homosexual, and like there's
That's
there
why I wanted
indications
to clarify. So,
I will both put them in a camp.
for that.
there you go. Furries are
There's not.
faggots in his ethno state, and you get to go to a concentration camp. So you can concentrate on not being a furry.
Exactly. It's going to be a rehabilitation service. Maybe?
With communal showers?
Yes. I mean, without communal showers, how am I going to get them to go there? Because they're fucking faggots,
Well, I mean, if you make it illegal, then they don't have a choice. They have to go there.
True. Okay. Oh God. What are you
Well,
guys
Ezekiel?
posting in the fucking?
Hmm?
That's nasty.
You know, somebody
Why?
in the chat just said something.
He wants to outlaw furries and homosexuals. You have no response to that?
I mean, he keeps on talking about wanting to build an ethno state, but where the fuck is he gonna get this ethno state?
God.
I
My
mean,
God.
Wait,
We called it the Silerious bar brawl. It should have been like the Silerious gym fucking insult match.
It's a Sunday brunch with some old catty ladies. That's what it is.
I'm gonna rename it the Silerious Sunday brunch.
Wristed Robot Wars. I fucking love
Hey,
the title.
I mean,
Fucking-
I'm eating, so.
I will definitely I've made it clear. I will gas the shit out of you. I don't. You're
Oh my
fucking
God.
furry degenerate.
I'm glad that he roboted all the way through that, so nobody will ever know what he actually said.
He said
I
he's
know
gonna
what he
guess
said.
the furries. All of them. Fuck them all.
But they support
Ezekiel,
the
Ezekiel,
song.
he's
fucking
he's gonna
furries
gas
gotta
you.
be degenerate if
Ezekiel,
being one.
He literally wants to kill you. You got nothing? You still got nothing?
He can try. He's not gonna put up much of a fight.
Oh my fuck.
I mean, who exactly is gonna actually enlist on that?
I don't know. It's gonna be hard when he's
If I tried to kill you.
when he gassed you. You're gonna have to be asking him the hard questions then, aren't you?
I mean, do I want to rehabilitate you? Yes. Do I think it's possible? Not really. The only option is to stop you from infecting others.
But see, that's okay because Ezekiel already doesn't believe in procreation, so he will die with his generation. It's fine.
Yeah, but I don't want him
Not
like
necessarily.
convincing
Yeah,
some 18-year-old to go fucking into fur faggotry.
But why does Caustic need to deal with
How
him?
am I
Why
gonna
why
convince
why does
Because I'm
Caustic have
proactive.
why
Then
does
why
society
is the
need
furry in of itself advertisement to others to be one?
Well, here, because
You know what
obviously you're not
normalization
a
means?
furry by yourself. You're a furry with other people. And so the fear is that you will go furrying and convince other people to join your faggotry ways and pervert the next generation. So even though you die off from the gene pool, your legacy lives on through the other people you got to be furries with.
Exactly. The lack of opposition in the battle of ideas is consent for the other side to win.
It's a degeneracy
So-
procreation.
Yep.
Prolific degeneracy.
So if I don't actively hunt down fucking degenerate furries, then I'm conceding that they should exist, when in fact they shouldn't.
Still nothing, Ezekiel? He literally
as
saying
long
he
as
wants
you're
to
a suicidal
hunt
fucking
you and your
life
kind
cuck.
down. And murder you. In the
I'm sorry,
streets.
Trigger. I'm desensitized to it. You tell me to kill myself about every day.
Yeah, but he wants to kill you.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
different. I want you to take the action. He actually is saying he will hunt you down in the streets and
Well, I
murder
can't
you in your
exactly
little
prove
cat
that You've
outfit.
not been trying to planning a way
I would
to-
prefer to do it discreetly with a subtly created poison or a bomb. I don't want repercussions for this, obviously.
I think I voted
They're
for
gonna
the
make
right,
you wear
right
an
person, by
armband
the
with
way.
a cat picture. You're gonna have a little cat silhouette on your armband.
God damn. Totally
Our
what to do.
own Star of David.
Yep.
Really is coming out to be such a Nazi. Wasn't expecting this to come out this far. God damn.
Well, I mean, part of this is as a joke, and then part of it is definitely want to rehabilitate
Oh.
you because
Also,
You're kinda-
Ezekiel, there are two
Mhm.
people in the chat right now who are agreeing with him to hunt you down and kill you. So now there's three because you didn't address the problem when it started. Now it's growing.
you know, this is actually something I addressed: the lack of opposition in the battle of ideas, and now everyone's agreeing with me. It's like if you don't put up a fight, your entire demographic's gonna get wiped out.
Yeah, didn't you learn
Demographic.
anything from the
Database.
Jews in World War
I'm
II?
sorry if I find this a bit ridiculous, finding someone going like, "Oh,
You know, the
we
Jews
should
thought that
get
in the
rid of people."
1930s, Ezekiel.
Now,
This Hitler guy's ridiculous. Look where that went.
God fucking damn it.
Hitler one.
Hitler started somewhere.
Yeah, he
He didn't
did.
just show up in 1941.
You know, the more I hear you talk, the more I don't want you to reproduce. Because you're showing that you just make the next generation weak as fuck.
dude.
You're literally asking to roll over and die. And I mean, it's kind of starting out as a meme, but Jesus Christ, it's kind of affirming the point. You're validating a meme into actualization.
For a fucking fan base, like, dude, why exactly do you have such a hard-on people who simply want to put on kitty ears or tails?
Because it's an opposing culture.
I guess
In
that
cultures,
answered itself, but okay.
an opposing culture will either assimilate or integrate. And you are not, I believe the term is
And I
assimilate.
don't really see what exactly is wrong with furries. Seriously, did a bunch of furries kill your family or something?
Well,
What's
you
going
as a
on
furry
there, buddy?
would see nothing wrong with furries.
Of course, and
That's
that's
a valid point.
And I ask, what's your issue with furries?
Uh,
I mean, it's like an
I don't-
Islamist being like, "What's your problem with Islam?"
yeah.
I have my issues.
Okay, there's not any inherent ideology attached to being, a furry or
It's
just
a culture.
wanting to wear a
You
culture,
are a
a culture
microculture.
of fashion. What's next? You're gonna tell me
culture.
people shouldn't
No,
have
there's
certain
sexuality in there,
haircuts?
too.
Yeah, that's
It's-
bestiality adjacent. We got to think of the
Yeah.
animals.
Yep.
I don't want him to think
When
about
did you
the
become
animals
such a
in
fond
erection.
fan of PETA, Trigger?
I'm not. I don't want semen in my cheeseburger. All right.
I don't want you to see. I don't want to see you dressing up your pet cats so you can fuck them later.
Okay,
Well,
that's
yeah.
bestiality.
I
Like that's
don't-
two entirely different things altogether.
I don't want to see furries in
Inflation's
my
like the
effing
whole
state.
key thing here.
So what's the difference?
Yeah. Well, see,
between
here's
people
you asked what his
dressing up as
problem
animals and
is.
animals
The
dressing up as
problem
people?
is furries are
Degenerate.
bestiality adjacent. Right? It's like you're furry light.
Furry.
Yeah.
You're only 2 X's in the porno, and we're afraid you're gonna add that third one.
I would rather you be a trad thought than a
If I-
furry.
More
Jeez.
fun.
You'd rather I be a trap than a furry.
A trad thought.
Well, at least you're honest.
Trad thought. That's not a P. That's a D. God damn it.
Hold on.
Thanks for the clarification.
Yeah, no traps in my ethno state. It shows a genetic
Rather
inclination
be,
to coquetry. We need warriors, not weak bitches. Dang. It's so weird that people don't fucking value like masculinity anymore. Fucking weird.
So
Speak
would
for
you
yourself,
say
buddy.
would you say
Unless
that
it-
Ezekiel
Huh?
is one of these individuals that doesn't?
I don't think he
Uh,
values masculinity.
Yeah.
He's damn near a male feminist ally.
I am not.
Look at your
Fucking
profile
love it.
picture. I mean, I know I'm not one to
My
talk, but that's a
profile
meme.
Pictures of me
Wait,
with
how are you to
ears.
talk about profile pictures?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I said mine's a meme.
What the fuck
It's
is
ironic.
that?
It's ironic.
Oh, it's ironic when you do it, but clearly it's a sign of degeneracy when I do.
Well, yeah,
Oh.
because that character is
Well,
also like
Do you also suck
ridiculously
dick to be
muscular.
ironic as well? I must know.
Well, Ezekiel, I
Yeah,
never had a
just doing
nightmare of
this
him trying to
ironic.
rape my cat. So there's that.
Animals can't consent. I don't understand.
We
why
know.
you have to rape your
That's
cat
what-
if I don't think animals can consent.
That's what we're afraid of. Like,
I
what's
Give it
stopping
time,
you?
I
assure
from taking-
you,
Give you the eye.
your
What is-
cat
what
is
is-
perfectly safe.
What is
You're like,
stopping
no
you
means
from
no, and silence is consent. That's what we're afraid.
No,
That's your next
dear
step.
God, no. You most definitely need some form of reciprocation.
Well, the cat was
what if the
lifting
cat
its tail and meowing, and
Yeah,
right,
That
you're
is
like,
not
clear,
enough. That is
clear signs. Clear
That's
signs.
The
not
cat have to
enough.
push its asshole up against your penis. Is that what you're saying?
Dear God, what cat? have
You were
guys
just sitting
been-
there naked, and the cat was all rubbing against you, and one thing led to another. She was totally asking for it, right? You sick fuck.
Manly, great again.
What is up with this? Guys,
I don't know.
you go
I don't know.
much more into the whole animal fucking than I do.
It's really weird,
You guys
isn't
are
it?
the ones with the problem because
Yeah, here,
Yes.
Ezekiel. The first step is admitting it. All right, that's the first step.
Yeah.
The road to
Yeah.
recovery. You have to admit your problem.
That is
Do we
Sean.
need to make it legal before you come to terms with it? And
No,
seek
Kitty,
out
you
help?
can't come in. The cat rapist is here.
Ezekiel, by your own argument, should we make it legal so that way you can admit that you have a problem?
Ah, there
What do
you
you
go. 'Cause
mean?
that goes back. That was a cry for help earlier.
Ooh.
Ah,
It all
got him.
makes sense.
And
Fate.
Sagan has joined.
Earlier, when you were talking about drugs, you said it being illegal means they have to admit that they committed a crime to admit that they have a problem. So, do we have to make bestiality legal for you to admit that you're a cat
Wait,
rapist?
but who's the victim
No.
in bestiality?
The
Obviously,
animal.
The animal.
Definitely.
Wait,
the
I
animal.
thought society was.
I mean, also yes, but the animal.
Wait,
first
do
and
are
foremost.
laws? Is there such a thing as rape of an animal?
Yes,
Yes.
Definitely.
there's definitely illegal in my state.
You mean in your
It
ethno
is in
state?
mine.
No, in my actual
in
state that I live in.
laws. Yeah. I
So
know my
having
state
sex
has
with
made
cats
it illegal to
is-
have sex with animals.
Or dogs?
Any
There's an
animal.
anti-bestiality law.
Maybe I'm the only one. As a Canadian, I'm allowed to have oral sex with my animal all I want.
Yes.
It's true.
I would highly recommend against that, and also suggest that you should actively try to get a bill passed to make it illegal to fuck your animals.
Look.
You're
I'm living in
overcompensating.
Justin Trudeau.
Just
I'm-
like
I'm
the
literally
homophobe,
living-
the closet queer. You're overcompensating.
I'm living in Justin Trudeau's Canada, guys. Animal sex is the least of my
Vote him out.
worries right now.
Vote 'em out. You guys have an opportunity next year, right? Vote them out.
Yes, and I haven't seen anybody who actually wants to keep them, and I haven't talked to anyone who wants to keep
You'll
them.
still
So
win
I'm-
anyways. That's the Trudeau
Can't
effect.
count on that. Look what happened with Trump.
I know, but I was also advocating for Trump. So
It's true.
Okay.
hey, Bearded's here. We can bring Bearded in too.
Yeah, Canada needs its
Oh,
own
that would
Trump.
be
Who do you guys have? I can't even think of any.
No,
Like,
Canada needs its own Mussolini.
No, that's extreme. That's faceti. No.
getting a little fast shy over
Yeah, a
there.
little fashion, man. Stop.
Just a little.
mean,
Been doing
nationalist.
that all night.
Oh, we haven't heard any about it at all, Ezekiel.
I
Maybe
have
if someone
not seen
pointed
Hey,
any-
you
it
suck
out.
at your job, Ezekiel. Maybe if you weren't such a cock, you'd be able to actually present an argument.
I have
Or a
been.
critique.
And some of the arguments are very
Holy
present
fuck.
in of themselves.
Right now, I look like a fucking hero, and you're the deplorable, degenerate villain. People
For
will
not
cheer for
wanting
me as I
excessive
put you in the
government
gas chamber.
involvement.
People will cheer for me as I put you into the gas chamber.
Hey, your circle. God damn.
Yeah,
all
Circle will be supporting him. That's the point.
The entirety of our culture would become my echo chamber. Okay.
Not likely.
Mm,
I really don't
Give it
see that
time.
happening.
Oh, look, it's
Well,
I
then.
think way too many people would find it way too extreme to be like, oh yeah, we should gas them. Yeah, start the
Well,
gas.
I'm more of a
Come on.
preemptive self-defense anthrax layer kind of guy,
And-
personally. I'm way more
And
clean.
too, like, seriously?
You don't have to burn the body.
Arresting people for being furries? Like, first of all, what level of furry is acceptable? Are
None.
people with wearing
None.
like
No
wolf
level of furry.
t-shirts or maybe like a necklace that has an animal on it? Are they going to start being dragged off, or someone that just happens to be wearing?
I don't
a
know if you know what a furry is, but wearing an
I
animal
don't.
necklace is not the same as dressing up as an animal and being a fucking.
Am I dressed as an animal?
You have cat ears, you degenerate fuck.
Yeah, cat ears on top of being a human, a person.
You have stylized your
Yeah, an
idealized,
attachment of an
romanticized art depiction of self to look like a
Mhm.
feline.
An entire feline? I wouldn't really think so.
Your
I would say
representation
I
of
would
self
very-
is characterized by feline traits. You're a fucking furry. Degenerate fuck.
Ezekiel, how do you feel about My Little Pony?
I'll fucking hate that show. Yeah, no.
I'm not-
I'm staying away from bronies. You can gas them.
Oh, so when there
What
are
is-
other kinds of furries, it's okay.
I
What is a
actually liked
Nico?
them when I was
What's a
Wait.
Nico, Ezekiel?
That's
Well,
awesome that
limiting.
you agree with me that we should gas furries.
Wait, I'm confused. How are you so outraged about Caustic Dreamer wanting to gas a certain type of people, but the moment he mentioned bronies, you're like, no, fuck him, gas him too. Just
Oh, I was
why
making a
even
joke
have
at
him
that
around?
point? But sure, jump on the joke. Okay, here's another joke. Jump along. Take that as a serious point. Why don't we? Okay.
What's a Nico? Huh?
What, you mean cat people?
I mean,
Cat girls
degeneracy.
or cat boys or your general pick?
Hmm.
I think the word
So-
you're looking for here is someone who should be purged.
No. No.
Yes.
Definitely not.
Yes.
I don't think you could really make an argument for that.
Well,
Whatever
why should
happened
they
to
not?
the conclusion of a furry ethno state?
Here's a fun fact for you, Ezekiel. In
Mhm.
Japan, Nico is slang for being the bottom in a homosexual relationship, i.e., you take it in the butt. So, take that as you will, i.e., in the butt.
And you will.
Wait, did you know that? Did you know that to be a fact, Ezekiel?
Hell no.
Huh.
I
Hmm.
heard
What
it
is your
being
channel?
used as
Maybe you're
slang
more
for
degenerate than
kitty
you
ears.
realize. Yeah. Look at that. That's the Japanese people fucking you again.
Mm.
Probably let him do it
Oh
too.
yeah,
There's
you're
no reason
totally
for
a Nico.
appropriation.
Nico, yeah. Really, what they're
Goddamn
saying is
Japs.
you're a
And
faggot.
this is why you don't trust the. This is why you don't trust the
See,
Japs.
This is why you guys need to give me direction. I'm much better as a bandwagoner, I guess. Maybe that makes me a failure as a natlib. I don't know.
Uh-oh. Wait.
You're definitely not a libertarian.
Well, I'm more
I-
naturalist than I am libertarian. Libertarian is a means to an end in an economic system. Or maintaining
really,
like,
when
well then we have different views on the functions of an economy, don't we?
different views on the function of the government, more
I think-
like.
Isn't the economy supposed to give me money? By me working for it, of course.
Well, it's all about an expansion of the barter system. But the whole point of government involvement is to make sure people don't fuck with the barter system in a way that can't be dealt with.
I think when you're bringing up economic system, you're thinking more so in terms of capitalism. Libertarianism is very
Capitalism-
intrinsic on capitalism, but they're not two in the same.
Capitalism
Libertarianism
is
isn't
an
a
explanation of the barter system
mm,
in current
yes
context.
and no. Capitalism is also an ideology. It refers to the
It's not an ideology. I would not say that.
Only a communist thinks that. Just throwing that out there. Another
Yeah.
fun fact.
You can't have a functioning economy without capitalism.
Of course
it's
not.
a prerequisite because
Never
it's
said
not.
that
It's not
capitalism was
I
bad.
wouldn't even say it's an ideology. I'm saying it's an observation of basic economic function. And if you disagree with that, you're fucking
need to
retarded.
have a government setup that's either focuses on free market economy or one that focuses on controlled market economy.
So what you're saying is calling it capitalist is stupid when it's libertarian. Yeah, like I don't know. You just keep making these things that aren't even points.
I'm
Okay.
making What do you
Make
call
an
those
argument
people?
against capitalism, I dare you.
Please
Yeah.
make my day.
I'm not gonna make an
Make
argument
everyone's
against
day, and I need to
capitalism.
stop just fucking bouncing back and forth. I'm making a lot of noise.
I'm
Okay.
capitalist at heart.
Good. We
should-
can be friends now.
Should we kill this off?
Is this not going anywhere anymore?
I don't think it's going.
I mean,
I want to hear the
Ezekiel.
commies definition of capitalism.
All right. We have more people watching than ever, but
Oh,
Really?
okay.
Link
Really?
me?
There's 8 people watching. Good lord.
What does
Wait, I
Pat
want to
think about this?
watch it. I want to watch the Watchers.
You want to watch
Watch
the
the Watchers.
Watchers?
Come on, Ezekiel. Tell us about capitalism.
Yeah, tell us everything. Oh, the Limp robot wars? God damn. Rude.
um,
Well, going back to capitalism based off of an Adam West perspective is
Adam West.
Yeah,
That one
okay.
guy who was a cat man in Fairly Odd Parents. Now I know
No,
where it
no.
comes
Wait.
from.
The original
Wait,
Batman.
I thought he was
Fucking
Batman.
Batman.
Another pro.
It's fucking
Adam-
Batman.
Get it straight, man. The original Batman.
And the
The
mayor
guy who
of
ran around
Kohan.
dressed like a bat.
correction.
Is it
Adam
Ezekiel?
Smith. What?
Oh, okay.
Please go on.
Going back. Correction. Adam Smith, who
The Scottish economist. Go on.
yes, who came up with the Wealth of Nations, discussed the necessity of a free market,
I would just like to point
not
out,
controlled by the government.
Uh-huh.
you can click on that if you want.
You-
He's definitely a cat person. And now I know his fucking
I'm
idol.
gonna click.
It all
Not even
comes
relevant.
together.
Keep talking about. Come on, tell us about Adam Smith. Tell us how the Scots fucked up the world, and how Karl Marx has all the answers. Keep going.
And how your Freudian slip to Adam West was not a furry. Bullshit.
I'm
Adam
not
West
even.
was Batman, a man dressed as a bat running around at night
Yeah,
with a little boy
Loki, Loki.
sidekick. Sorry,
it's true.
Loki, look at the link I posted.
I am. I'm looking at it right now. Alter ego.
Holy liver
Batman.
onion rings, Batman.
Okay, continue.
Capitalism is the basic economic model of limited government involvement and free market, and allowing the market to come up with the goal. Well, allowing for the free market to come up with the solution for personal problems instead of having the state have to affirm or incentivize those who are currently part of that market to the most extreme. Now, of course,
I'm missing the political system of it, but go on.
I just said capitalism is more of an economic model.
Not more of is an
Is.
economic system.
So when you called it an ideology earlier, interesting.
Yes.
Almost like you didn't know what you were talking about.
That's not an ideology. It's like a capitalism, right? So it'd be like that's capitalist is an observation, not prescribing an ideological lean to something. It is the function that something is performing. More than
Say
an
if you lean
ideology.
more capitalist than
Now, if you weren't
socialist,
a great
then
cuck,
I
you
would
would
say
know
that
this.
would be
No,
an
if
ideology
you
lean
want
more towards.
capitalism, you don't lean capitalism. You want capitalism, right? It's not an
Yes.
ideology. It is literally saying, like, I want a car that runs off of diesel fuel, and then you're like, you're a dieselist. That's your ideology. It's like, no, I just think that fucking engine operates better. You fucking weirdo.
Obviously, if you
for people who
like
want to
diesel,
keep an
you're supporting the war in
capitalist
Israel.
economy.
Or, I mean,
Right? Like Marxism and communism and socialism, right? Okay, communism has a whole ideology around it that we see being prescribed to all the time. Capitalism does not have that, right? There's more to communism than there is to capitalism. Communism does include an economic system, but that's not the whole extent of what communism is. With capitalism, it's literally just the economic system. Only a communist looks at it and is like, that's an ideology.
Wouldn't
really
survival of the fittest be the ideology behind capitalism?
that's more libertarian.
Not
I think.
necessarily.
The Darwinistic
Right,
approach has
It's more
more to do with
social Darwinism.
yeah, sure.
Right, yeah, like there are ideologies in which capitalism would fit into. Right now, survival of the fittest is Darwinism, right? So like the way that basically when you're looking at businesses, you're looking at survival of the fittest. The best business who is meeting the needs of their clients, the wants and needs of their clients at the price that is most reasonable is the best business. And in the capitalist system, obviously that business is the business that's going to survive because it's a better business and that's better for everybody, but it's not an ideology. Does that make sense?
Yes.
This guy over here is showing his he's one of those anarcho-communists with cat
I
ears.
just showed my political compass.
Yeah.
It's a lie
It'll
that
look-
you use to
It
get a
is
hold
not.
of
The further left you are, the more communist you are. The further down you are, the more anarcho you are. We clarified this earlier.
Yeah. Show me your compass and I'll show you my compass. Yeah.
I'll show you my gas
I
chamber.
already showed
Oh my
mine.
god, no. Only if nice
Like-
curtains.
Yeah, we're done.
Maybe I'll go in there if you have nice curtains.
So if you're a libertarian, why do you think capitalism is an ideology? And how does that fit into your libertarian views?
How does that fit in my libertarian views that I prefer capitalism over socialism?
Well, you think it's an ideology. So how does that fit with
Yeah,
libertarianism?
That's-
Because libertarianism is an ideology.
Well, if you're
Yeah.
going to decide whether or not you have an open market economy via capitalism versus a controlled market economy via communism, I would definitely prefer an open market economy via capitalism. That's the context I'm thinking of it in.
But you called it an ideology. So I'm saying if you prescribe to one ideology, so what is it from the capitalist ideology that you agree with or disagree with?
Profit above all else.
Is that an agree or disagree?
Not really a
Well, it could
Yeah,
go
I'm not
either or.
that.
You could agree with that
But
or disagree.
That's also not
Wait,
capitalist,
hold on.
but yeah.
That's
So, like, you don't care about the effects of anything on people. You think people should just get weeded out and have all these fucking shitty things.
you
That are the
literally
result of
talked
your
about
normalization.
gassing or getting rid of people if they can't be rehabilitated. Are you honestly that
This
concerned?
isn't about me.
It kind of is if you're going to be trying to play this.
Okay. You know what? I will make it about
I
me.
want rid of people. But
Well,
Okay.
literally, your argument seems to be
Just
between
be
controlled
about-
eugenics and natural selection.
But his
And
thing
I'm
is all
arguing for
about
natural selection.
letting everyone die off. He doesn't have any invested interest. in
But
society.
hold on.
Yes,
Aren't work concentration / death camps part of natural selection? Because the strongest got together, chose those they deemed
In the
unfit to live in
grand
society,
philosophy.
and shoved them into
Yeah.
a camp to murder them.
In the grand philosophy, if you're looking at humanity as an outside observer, then definitely that would be natural selection, right? Like two lines fighting it out,
Right.
and the bigger line kills the littler line. That's natural
Because it was a-
selection, right? We don't think of it that way because we are humans, but yeah, in the grand scheme, it would be.
Yeah.
Hitler was just
compete with me.
weeding out the weak, I guess.
Compete
All right.
with
I guess on that note, we're gonna wrap it up. Does anyone have any final statements to anyone else?
Nope.
You're a cuck. You don't
All
care
right.
about anybody, and your ideology sucks.
Oh, now you get vicious.
Gas the fairies.
That's it, Caustic. You denied. Just no. No.
All right. So the judges voted that humanity lost in this debate.
Yeah, I lost 2 hours. Of
They
their
lost
time.
long
2
before.
hours of our time. I guess
Oh, here we go.
I told you I didn't want to do it tonight. I told you to try to
just
do
cut.
it for Friday.
then you know what? I'll
Yeah.
delete this one and we'll reschedule it for another time.
Oh dear.
And I should
Well,
be
at least we have the rehearsal for the thing where it's gonna play it the exact same way.
I'm just gonna set it all on fire and make sure it disappears from history.
Excellent.
Or I'll just keep it up
Because
for the
you
fun of it.
get exactly
And the
what
Russians,
you
I
want.
guess.
Anyway,
I remember that one time.
so
in-
Hey man, Scorch
people,
Earth
like,
policy worked for them. It was great.
Beat the Nazis.
Russians.
That's exactly it. Beat the Nazis.
It also starved out their people. I just want to point that out.
Yeah, but that was later, and they blame Stalin for it, so it's fine.
Splitting hairs at this point. Either way, a bunch of people died.
Yeah, Stalin was a right-wing version of communism. It just hasn't
Yeah,
been tried.
Right wing. Yeah, right wing.
right wing. Definitely not just extremely authoritarian and greedy with socialism.
Says the guy who literally talked about making rehabilitation camps. for
Yes, I did
furries.
talk about that. Anyway, all right, guys. I guess it's enough of this. The 2 hours in, they finally start to get heated. Next time, I'm just gonna introduce some meth into their system and throw a naked girl between them,
Ah,
or turn one of them into a naked girl and throw them to the other.
Wait, what?
We'll see.
No.
Why would you
Well,
do that?
I wouldn't want to touch him.
Wait a minute. Who
They'd
are
both
you
have to be
planning
the
on
girl,
making
though.
into one?
In
They
either
both have to
outcome.
be the girl. Just throwing that out there.
End the stream.
All
Does
right,
that
so
make me a trap?
tune in next week for Our Traps Gay, a conversation between somebody yet to be announced and somebody else. All right, guys, have a good night. Thanks for sticking around, and thanks for wasting your time with us.
Yep.
We
And have fun viewing this before it gets erased.
Pure cancer.
yes, the purest of all of the purest canceruses.
So